And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Starting off with the warnings here, we've got a blizzard warning out for tonight for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Therefore, reduced visibility to a quarter mile with winds gusting anywhere from 40 to 60 miles an hour. Back to the west here, a winter weather advisory out for the Arctic coast from Point Lay eastward here to Prudhoe Bay for winter weather advisory conditions. Gusty winds, snow and blowing snow. Same thing here for around Anatuvik Pass. And then the northern Seward Peninsula here into Kotzebue Sound northwest coast. That's a high surf advisory out tonight for high surf causing possible minor beach erosion. And winter weather advisories here for the Norton Sound area here, Unalakleet on up and over toward Nome, White Mountain, those areas. And winter weather advisory out for the mountains north of Fairbanks. That weak front bringing some light snow into that area, possibly a little gusty wind condition there. And a wind advisory out tonight for the upper Tanana Valley area for winds gusting to 40 miles an hour. And for the Panhandle there, looking for north to northeast winds, 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusting 60 miles an hour. And that's out for the Juneau-Douglas area, or the greater Juneau-Douglas area for the night tonight. And on to satellite imagery here. Big storm slowly weakening, spinning and staying well south of the Queen Charlotte Islands. So that leaves the southeast coast here in that cold northeast wind flow with strong high pressure over the Northwest Territories. Clouds moving in with areas of light snow into the central interior here with high clouds increasing over the Kuskokwim Valley, Western Alaska Range and into Cook Inlet this afternoon, the Susitna Valley. And that stronger part of that storm now shifting eastward along the eastern Arctic coast with winds gusting up close to 60 miles an hour. Earlier today had 60 to 65 mile an hour wind gusts central western Arctic coast. And then moisture here with high pressure holding here over the Bering Sea. You can see here on the loop quite vividly that the flow around that high from south to north here, then coming over the top of the ridge and moving that cloudiness into the Bering Strait and the Seward Peninsula. On the chart, here's that front with very strong winds here. Again, from the Brooks Range, north slope out to the Arctic coast. Strong winds today with snow and mixed precipitation here into the central interior. Actually, snow into the central interior, light snow, areas of light snow, to put it more precisely here, with mixed precipitation back to the west. Actually, Attis carried some light rain, I believe, at the point today, on down toward other areas, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, and down into the Seward Peninsula. Otherwise, this front now has passed the western Arctic coast there, and like Barrow, seeing gusts about 45 miles an hour out of the west or northwest, with temperatures back down into the lower 20s there. Different story here across southern Alaska, just some mid and high level clouds moving into areas here. Light winds, high pressure still controlling the eastern Bering Sea, with one center here near the eastern Aleutians, another one up over the southwest interior. Again, that holding this moisture back out to the west, and a very strong gradient here over the Panhandle, bringing those gusty winds of 50 to 65 miles an hour in gusts there, with chilly dry conditions all the way down toward Dixon Entrance. And for tonight, not much change there. High pressure holds over the Yukon, so looking at gale force northerlies, central and northern inside waters there, with that high wind warning for the Juneau area continuing out tonight. And less wind for the North Gulf Coast, south central Alaska here, about like we saw today, with high pressure keeping it dry, but varying amounts of clouds coming in with this front sagging southward into the interior there. Look for some areas of light snow along that frontal boundary all the way out to St. Lawrence Island. Some snow showers lingering, especially on the upslope areas of the north slope there, or I should say the Brooks Range, the upslope areas, which is the north slope, and some light snow possible, but winds much lighter now. You can see after midnight and in toward morning, winds coming down quite a bit along the Arctic coast, even on the east side there, with this system trying to push eastward a little bit, but high pressure keeping it back to the west. And for tomorrow, that rain with this front comes a little farther to the east here. As you can see, the high pressure area weakening over the eastern Bering Sea, but that'll spread some rain possibly into Atka Island late in the day with wet conditions all the way back to Shimian Attu. This front stalled out over the central interior here with high pressure building over the north slope. So areas of light snow here along that frontal boundary, but to the south, to the north, continued dry with variable clouds, mostly clear here down to the south along the North Gulf Coast again and into the Panhandle. A little bit lighter winds in store for the southeast coast. At least the high wind warnings should end, but gale warnings are still out for the inside waters. And then for the day on Friday, another cold Arctic high here pushes into the Northwest Territories. That's going to keep the winds in gale force category here for the northern central inside waters with pretty gusty winds, cold conditions all the way southward to Dixon Entrance. Just some leftover clouds, maybe a few flurries or light snow showers here, mostly along the Alaska Range, and that's about it. Otherwise, another very nice day with dry conditions, light winds, real light winds now up along the Arctic coast there with little gradient, maybe a little bit of an increase in the northeast winds here across southern Alaska, maybe the North Gulf Coast, but nothing too serious. And light winds for Bristol Bay, dry conditions again for the eastern Bering Sea, and this storm system staying back to the west here with the front keeping it wet and breezy over the central Aleutians. Lows tonight in the upper 30s, lower 40s for the Aleutians, mid 30s for the Pribilofs, lower 30s St. Lawrence Island, and 5 to 15 below on the east side here. Single numbers central interior, much milder, 20s out toward the coast to near 30 right along the Bering Sea coast. Otherwise up here for the north slope single numbers. And then the highs tomorrow, cooler up here behind the front now that it's dropped southward. So a little bit of Arctic air starting to seep back into the south of the Brooks Range to a certain extent there. Otherwise, highs in the single numbers on the east side to teens, 20s, and into the 30s again out toward the Bering Sea, 40s for the Pribilofs and the Aleutians, mid-40s Kodiak, and 40 for Helmer Seldovia. Otherwise, mostly in the 20s elsewhere in south central Alaska, about 10 for Gulkana there, but lower 40s for Seward, and 20s northern Panhandle, 30s to the south. And the lows, lower 20s here for the northern Panhandle with upper 20s southern areas there. Colder back to the north here with 5 or 15 to 20 below or 10 to 20 below here for the northern valleys and the Brooks Range all the way out to the Arctic coast. Single numbers into the Tanana Valley and teens to near 20 south central Alaska, 20s for the southwest coast. And then for the afternoon highs, looking at temperatures into the teens here for the Tanana Valley areas and mostly above zero all the way up to the Arctic coast, but not too far above 10. And 20s here over the west side of the state. Again, lower 30s out toward the coast with St. Lawrence Island still into the mid 30s. And upper 20s to lower 30s south central Alaska, still near 40 for Seward and Homer. Lower 40s for Kodiak. Upper 20s for the northern Panhandle, mid to upper 30s on down to the south.